In progress.
Right, welcome to the April 10th planning team meeting. We have like meeting for Craig, Supervisor Vandola, and training session, myself, the first item on our agenda this evening is to approve our meeting minutes from the March 13th meeting. There was a little bit longer than some of our meeting minutes have had or have been recently. Did anybody have some edits?
I'll make a motion to accept these.
We don't typically do motions because we're not technically a board, but I second that. So we'll go ahead and mark them.
Mr. Carries.
But funny side note, I was at a county meeting on Monday, and at one point they asked all in favor, and I almost said aye out loud. Because
Oh, really?
so
On Monday?
used to being voting, I was sort of just head dazed out, and they said all in favor, and I was just about to say it out loud.
You would have to look at you.
Yeah, I'm very glad I caught it. The second item on our agenda today is youth engagement opportunities. So I apologize, you guys aren't super in the loop, but Supervisor Vandola and I have been strategizing on how we can sort of engage with younger community members. So we drafted a really nice letter and sent it to the it sounds like that was well received.
Actually, I did forward a copy to the committee, and she is absolutely thrilled, and she's confirmed with the principal and teachers, and they're delighted.
Wonderful.
They've been positive, just, I couldn't answer that better.
Okay,
And I was hoping for that, so.
yeah.
You know that.
And it sounds, my only concern, I love the list of options we put together. My only concern
It's a lot.
is I'm limited on availability during the day, but it sounds like we are.
I can
going to
step up.
help.
I can step up with that. And then somebody else wants to as well, so.
Yeah, and if anybody else, in the community is interested in participating, maybe if you get like a date, just shoot us an email and that
Sure.
way if anybody else wants to. So in one question we had as a committee, we briefly discussed, and it never really circled back to it, and I thought more about it is, obviously the school is a mix of residents of both, the kids are both residents of Pennsylvania and Canada
And Bristol.
and Bristol. And they may not know necessarily which community they live in. Hi, Thomas.
Hello. I'm still trying to get fully connected, but I think I'm almost there.
We were just chatting about our second agenda item, some engagement opportunities with the school. So we'll just wrap that up and then we'll be on to the county contract stuff. So take your time to get set up there.
So.
Okay, sounds good.
Letter, what's the intention here?
So,
You didn't include Wayland.
yeah, I guess that's true. What I was going to say is even though the residents are, or the students are residents of different communities, I still think there's value in just hearing from younger people, even if they're not necessarily part of our community. So even if we put together a short survey and we're thoughtful in the way that we frame the question, so the intent is just to hear from some younger members in our community. Supervisor Vandola has offered to do some in-person in classrooms.
The kids and the faculty know me and.
Yeah, I guess my concern is we're now hopefully people can go through our process.
Mm-hmm.
We were asking youth advisory panel. I mean, we're beyond the survey. We're into now planning public meetings.
And so they can certainly
kind of like
engage in our
little late.
public meetings, not till June, so we're still going to be really taking community feedback through that one, which is sort of the end of the school year too. So obviously this is stuff that has to happen fairly quickly. And so we're certainly still taking community feedback. And I think that depending on the feedback we get, like we'll attach the survey results as an addendum to the plan as they were in the previous plan. So it may just be an addendum that we attach that sort of memorializes youth opinions about what they want. And I think is what they want to do in the community. What do they like about this community? What do they wish was different? And
Yeah.
some really basic.
Yeah, I think that's great.
It's not going to be as detailed as our survey because
No.
we don't.
Who's gonna handle all that and when there's not a lot of time?
My question is, so planning meeting, June 12th and August 11th.
So that's our public engagement meeting is June 12th.
It's already been set. I didn't see that
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yep.
last week.
So
So the meetings at the forum has been set for June 12th and August 11th.
correct. So the June 12th is the public engagement meeting. So if you want to come and engage at that point, we will certainly encourage that. That's a great time for us to get feedback from them.
And there we have that.
Yep. August is our public hearing, which is really the time there will be opportunities for public feedback, but to me, it's more important to get feedback from the town board at that point. Because the next time we come to the town board, we will have a final draft and will not be an ideal time to be like, oh, I wish that the first public hearing is really the opportunity for that. So that's going to be a little bit late, obviously, the school year will depend it. So really any activities with the youth will need to take place before the June 12th public engagement meeting. And that will really be the end of the school year.
So you're gonna handle that or? you're
So
gonna
any
handle that? I mean,
in-person, in-classroom stuff, Supervisor Vastola is going to handle. If you need my assistance putting together a short survey, sort of like those questions that,
Yeah.
what do you like
QR
about
code? And we just had a quick survey QR code. Boom.
and it's in very specific example. Obviously, we don't necessarily need to know what the youth is about this right now, or the condition of road trailers. That's not the feedback solution for them, just in general, community vision.
So I was involved with the comp plan, the last comp plan. We really didn't do much reach out to the youth. And a few years after, I was sort of involved tangentially with Richmond. And I brought some students to that meeting just like this. The students were delighted, the board was delighted, Ed Jackson was there, and a few others. They were like, oh yeah, this is great. So they really liked it. The students, I saw a different side of them, and they were very engaged. They were delighted to be asked.
Yeah.
And that their opinions were valued.
And I remember when I was a senior and I had to take government, I had to attend a public meeting. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
This is gonna be a survey for all the youth down there, or are you gonna somehow try and make sure that this is only
I don't think it's possible to.
candidates?
I don't think we can target. So we'll just kind of really have some very general community vision.
No, it'd be the same thing to reach out to Wayland. Yeah, a small slice of candidates in Wayland, right? But I think they're pretty much gonna think alike and have the same.
And I think because Supervisor Vessel has a connection with the homeless, it makes sense. Like you said, we are short on time. I don't think we have the capacity to target both schools, but I think if we're able to pull it together in a hurry.
Especially when we got it
there's
from
certain
like, a superintendent.
value. Is your microphone?
Yeah, I guess I don't wanna, we have these 4 bullet points and then March, April, April, and May, June, and then. Great idea, but
Right,
probably should have been 6 months ago.
absolutely. My fault.
You're gonna, well, I just think if you're gonna push ahead with it, I mean, it's gonna be difficult to pull off these 4 points. And
And I don't know I think that was a menu of offerings. I think it's
Yeah,
kind
but
of
you-
choose.
you put it out to the school and, you know, they're all enthusiastic about it and then it's gonna be, well, we didn't do that.
And I think they're gonna reach out to the rest of the teachers.
I did not.
I mean, that's fine. I think that if you have the capacity and you know there's nothing there, very passionate.
Yeah, and I'll be there for you in May. And I'm not there every day. But if I'm dropping in for school,
Okay.
I could do
Yeah, so I guess just keep us posted and, you just let us know.
Yeah, we'll say we don't know again. It's just one more thing they're coming on to the, fortunately, the quarter just ended, so the quarter.
Yeah.
We'll see, I think this was once or probably the one that has a commercial.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you for doing that. Just keep us posted. So our next item is, the revised maps we're working on with Ontario County. So I know that Colton has been hard at work. I think he's making significant progress. Supervisor Vessel and I chatted with him briefly after PEQ on Monday. So it sounds like he's made some significant progress and was really close to wrapping things up. And there was another map that you requested, and I think I emailed you the title just so that you were aware. It wasn't one that had been previously included with the comp plan. I never checked it. You didn't consider it previously included.
Yeah, I just think that's a good one.
So it's a map that you can install and so it'll be one. That'll be updated. Want you to get.
Yeah, I guess I'm all confused in that anyway. So the zoning map.
Yes.
It's been bouncing around, and it's just the zoning map, we don't need every, I mean, street view.
I think it's gonna be a little too cluttered if you have every single one of those private roads.
No, we can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, what roads are on there, we want them corrected. So it sounds like we just really the one road. But really just do that.
Conservation district, so it shows the water districts, all the parcels along the lakes that go to city water. Harry Houser, we've got the new parcel, being added to Spencer. Harry Houser, Spencer Park, things like that. And that was last updated in 2000. Even the subdivision.
So I guess the zoning map, your recommendation is not to add the public drive.
There isn't.
Okay.
I would just change the one. I can't remember.
Francis Shores was the one that, Francis Shores and Francis Track was the one that was questioned in the email, which was. So Francis Shores comes off of 36 and then continues south, and then Francis Track is the one that has more.
So what
I mean, Francis Track. I don't
listed
even
on
think we
there,
need to be
we're
on.
gonna make Francis Track. or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, then,
Okay, so then my
So-
request would be, can you please follow up with Jill Miller and say it's our team's recommendation that it'll be too cluttered, we don't recommend adding all of the private drive.
well, yeah,
Because really, he's the one using it.
but the zoning map it covers the area, it doesn't really matter what the name of the street is. So. I can touch base with them, and let them know that the legal. So who am I sending this off to for the correct?
So once Joe says, yep, I'm fine with that, he signs off because he said that it's going to, Thomas, do you want us, so we'll always CC Thomas. And do you want us to just CC you and Colton, or do you still want us to keep Kyle in the communication chain about mapping it?
For now, actually, just CC me and go directly with Colton. Um, Kyle's, I think, mostly handed things off like this to Colton. So I'll let him focus on the other projects he has on his plate.
Yeah, the last email
Okay,
that, if you
then
need it, let me know, but.
we get that name change, and then it has to go to Eileen, my understanding. And Eileen has to, is the one that says,
So Kyle sent us, a little of how you do this now. It's in one of the old emails. Well, so Joe signs off, he says, yes, I'm good with that. You send it to Colton, CC comments, then they'll get us the map. And then once we get to that point, we'll pull up Kyle sent us like, these are the 4 steps. This is why the template or not. And it sort of depends on if we're changing any parcels, I believe. I sort of scanned through it and I was like, I don't remember. We could stop.
yeah, I would,
Because depending on the changes, it may or may not need a public hearing, which is why I need it within.
right, I don't think there's actually any changes to the area of zoning.
Then it probably doesn't.
Merely the name.
Yeah, middle road, north middle road.
Correct.
Yeah,
That one.
and the old Westlake roads, they
Well, you want-
labeled north and south. North Old Westlake Road and south Old Westlake Road.
But
Right now, they're-
north doesn't show up. You know, it's always up in the north. I don't remember.
Right now, both of the old Westlake roads are just labeled Old Westlake Road. But officially,
On
my-
labeled north and south.
right, and that's how they're labeled on my local roads inventory with the
Yeah.
DOT.
I wasn't sure if it just wasn't in the map.
Well, that's interesting because does DOT have a separate database with layers and all these maps on it? We're not using all the same thing, the county reinventing the wheel, is that what I'm hearing?
Well, the zoning map we're looking at isn't even the same as Encore.
As far as what?
We should have everything all in one big
The names
relational
are correct on
database.
Encore.
We should have everything in one relational database with layers and turn them on and off as we need them. And I hope we're not reinventing the wheel with each map. Well, this is basic.
That's up to the county.
Yeah, but Thomas, this is basic. We should have just one master map with overlays, layers, if you will, right?
Right. So we have, so what we use internally is Arc Pro. And so it has the base map, and then we can layer on each individual, whether it's the zoning or, floodways and anything like that. We can just kind of keep adding on layers or taking them off. Encore is based off of that, but it's, somewhat more simplified. But all the data that you could get from Encore would be in Arc Pro and then some.
Yeah, so our pro has additional layers that aren't necessarily public.
Like our culvert numbers and things like that.
Yeah. So, where the simplified version, and that's a GIS system, correct?
Correct. Yep, it's a GIS program. So
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, Birch, are you all clear on that?
Sure. So I'm just gonna have on Old Westlake Road, I'm gonna just have N.
North Old Westlake
I'm
Road
gonna,
and south. Yeah.
right, but there's not a lot of room.
Yeah,
So just put an N or an F.
Perfect.
And Francis Track Drive will get changed to
There's a short.
Francis Stewart.
Yeah. And then the other one that was questioned was, North Middle Road.
Yeah, but you said Middle Road North,
Middle Road North, yep,
and that's correct.
that's correct.
Yeah, I don't think the zoning hasn't changed.
Okay,
I mean, all these names.
yeah,
You know,
then we'll
the names of the roads.
yeah, no, it does, no, that's not the type of change.
I mean, it seems like it's, you know,
So we'll take a look. Kyle sent us a very nice step by step of problem. Is that on that?
sure. And the other maps are pretty self-explanatory. We just want a name.
Yeah.
They're all going the same direction.
Yep, so we'll take, it sounded like you were very close.
And you're adding another one.
Yes.
Of which I have no other name.
You want to see it?
I'd like to have a copy of it. Yes.
I'll give you your own copy.
Well, electronically.
That's a whole other story.
Well, I don't want a paper copy.
All right.
I don't need a paper.
I have a. Conservation.
Conservation districts.
Not in there. But.
Yeah.
So, while he's grabbing that, I think we're ready to move on to the public meeting. So let's, start with item B. Thomas, we talked briefly last time about sort of ideas, for engaging with the public. And I think so far, the ones that we have definitely settled on is I'm working on putting together a PowerPoint presentation of the survey results, that we'll have going on the screen here. Just like a slideshow of those going. We'd like to print, a map so that we have a large version, of a map that's visible. Did anybody feel strongly about, I think we had discussed the zoning map. Is there any particular map that jumped out as the one, like, this is the one that the public is going to be the most interested in seeing?
I love that one, but I haven't seen one yet.
So, I don't know if the people on the jacket, basically the same as we have. I think, yeah,
Very similar.
it's exactly the same.
Very vital.
It's our conservation district.
Yeah.
We have three districts, conservation, Hunter, lakeshore, and rural. And this is our conservation district.
Okay,
And
so that's a thing, we are saying
so
that's a
this is
single
from
layer.
2008.
Yeah.
So city water work, that's conservation. So this map is doesn't really mean anything. I mean, it's just a subset of this map, of our zoning map.
So you're saying the zoning map has all of that information,
Yeah.
plus it's additional?
There's no additional information.
Yeah, so the zoning map has additional. Then that,
Well, the zoning map has the three zones.
Yeah.
Everything in our conservation district on the zoning map is this.
okay,
So, just stepping back for a second, you were talking about having a PowerPoint that would be running during the program or during
Yeah.
the time period. Is that something that it's more informational, or is it something you're trying to engage in public comment back about?
so I guess that's really what I'm looking for feedback, is more the things that I think we've settled on are just informational. And I'd really love some guidance on things that are more interactive or ways for the public to engage more. I think that's really the question that we have for you.
Okay. So, I guess it somewhat depends on what information you're putting in there. If it's just, you know, a lot of the current conditions are the current conditions, and obviously, demographics, other things like that kind of general information. Um, so I'm wondering, like, what ultimately in the big picture, what are you looking for feedback? It sounds like you're, several steps down the line. Is there something that you're, you know, looking to get out of them, out of the public? Is it just, you know, you've got it sound when we talked earlier, it sounded like you were looking for more than just, checking a box and saying, yep, we engage the public and, you know,
Yeah, to me, it's a really, because we're not doing a ton, we're not overhauling the plan, writing a new plan. To
hmm,
me, the public engagement piece is really important. We often have a hard time filling positions on our zoning board, on our planning board. So just really engaging with the public and, for them to understand like how local government works and how they can participate in just like kind of empowering the public to feel like they have some say in their community and, driving the community vision.
okay, so that I guess that's more of like I would think more of a presentation or, something like that, rather than a PowerPoint. Well, I mean, I guess you'd have a PowerPoint saying like this is what it is and
Yeah, and maybe in, there's additional slides that kind of advertise ways to, like, how can you get involved is, maybe just a slide.
okay.
So I guess that's what I'm struggling with, is a lot of the stuff that I'm thinking is just informational. And I really want there to be ways for it to be interactive as well.
Okay.
And have more of an open house format is really what I'm thinking, versus like come and pick the box, this is when the presentation is. I'd rather just kind of have an open house where, members of this team are available to talk to people if they want to talk, or if people aren't really comfortable engaging in that way, there's a way for them to participate in another way.
But there again, I think a lot of people like to come to a presentation.
Yeah.
When they had the meeting on State Parks Trail,
Mm-hmm.
it was very well attended, and they had a brief presentation or explanation of what they were doing, and then they asked for, some questions and answers. So I think some people might like that. Maybe you do, it's a 2-hour window, maybe you do 2 10-minute or 15-minute presentations of 7 or 8.
I'm totally open to and comfortable doing a presentation.
You've done them before?
Not this way.
But I think, it doesn't have to be long, maybe 10 minutes, of
Yeah.
what you just kind of said. This is what we've done. Here's the information. We have a PowerPoint. You're welcome to look at, any feedback you can give. Here's what we've come up with. And maybe you do it twice in the evening, or, and maybe you say that your presentation 7 or 8, or maybe just 1, I don't know. I just think rather than have people come in and mill around.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I we could definitely I could greet people at the door too and say, these are the different stations and give them a brief. But I'm totally open to doing a presentation.
Right.
So what, we did a presentation, what the information would be.
What would you put in it?
Yeah.
I think you would explain, very briefly what a comprehensive plan is, very briefly a little history of the comprehensive plan,
Okay.
maybe a brief history of the town, some of the things we found with the survey, maybe not everything.
Yeah.
And we love your input, there's some people here today for questions.
Okay.
What else? And this is what's gonna happen in the next step.
Okay.
And, you know, thank you for being here. It's important that this is your town, you're engaged in it. You'd always be, you know, maybe a little spiel of, you know, new people, I'm looking forward.
Yep.
So probably what, 15 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It can be a little longer than this, so.
No, I know.
I will get out of all the response.
Is the microphone on? Is it on? Say the number.
Anyway, okay, thanks, George gave me his. I saw the sheets, even though I couldn't make the meeting,
Okay.
and I was kind of confused.
By which?
There's a lot of information.
Oh, yeah, the survey results?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there any way to condense that?
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Top
about,
10.
I was hoping to have it done tonight, I did not get it done in time. So I'm turning all of that into a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of highlighting, I think, not every single question, but the questions like, you know, I think the questions about road maintenance, I think they have great value to you. I don't think the board didn't hear what everybody thought about plowing and striping. You know, that is for internal use.
Yeah,
So highlighting some of these other
it's all.
questions
Oh, there
that
you
I
go.
think are more applicable, so I'm consolidating and putting a couple questions on each slide. So I've got that down to, I think it's gonna be like. Yeah, so that was just the full,
Yeah.
every comment, every response, that was the full raw data, and that is obviously not in the format that is very good.
Well, as a PowerPoint, would we consider maybe having some, 17 by whatever, home floor or board?
Mhm.
Can't imagine a lot of them. I mean, I'll be a total part.
About the survey or was that?
Survey results, you know, question results. Fill up the line.
The display?
So, because the
Yeah.
PowerPoint can be there.
Yeah.
Won't be that easy to see.
Yeah,
So-
So,
that might be an area, you know, kind of agree, you know, if you're seeing kind of common themes, having that available, you know, as was mentioned, you know, as a, you know, large poster board, and then, you know, having people be able to either put, you know, stickers to say, yes, you know, these are my top three, you know, feelings on X, or, you know, as post-it notes to kind of, you know, add more detail. You know, but you know, it would be interesting to know, you know, you had kind of mentioned the idea of trying to recruit people to get engaged. So I mean, starting out right off the bat with, you know, post-it notes and have people put up, you know, what brought you here today? You know, why are you here? You know, what is the important, you know, just to kind of start everything off with that idea of, you know, they're here to engage. You know, I definitely agree doing a presentation, things like that, but you know, trying to start everything off with some sort of way for people to feel engaged or feel like, you know, they came out to do something. You know, having just some of those basic questions of, you know, how long have you been here? What brought you out? Those kind of things, just to get, you know, right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I love that. Why are you here?
So we'll take all the pictures off the wall and then we'll give people markers and we can write on the wall. Permanent record.
He's a paint job in here. Anyway,
Right.
so that I
Sure.
think-
On the table.
Okay, I think that's that's a great way to, that engagement piece that I was looking for.
Yeah.
What about, do we want any, what is it that, is it a SWOT assessment? Can you remind us what that is?
So SWOT is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So kind of what's being done right, what's maybe not as strong, and then kind of so that's current conditions and opportunities and threats is then kind of looking forward. Where is there a chance for growth or for change, and what maybe is standing in the way of that, or is an upcoming danger that you want to avoid. So it's SWOT but with an O instead of an A.
Do you think that, I would be interested to hear from other committee members, is that redundant because we've asked very similar questions already on a survey? I like the idea of, being able to have people feel like they can relay information to us, but I'm also concerned about the workload of entering a bunch of hard copies. Stuff that comes in.
Well, if we have to, post-it note type thing.
And the post-it notes, I guess, I'm not as worried about. We could even just like take a picture of them, the board. I'm more concerned if we had like a sheet or a half sheet to have people like write what they think the strengths of the town are, what the weaknesses are. That's going to be a lot to turn that into a digital format that we can immortalize.
Well, Thomas, typically, I mean, you've been involved with other towns.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what was that.
Oh, you've been involved with other towns doing the similar kind of open meeting?
Yes, so specifically with comprehensive plans, but then other projects as well. The SWOT analysis is something that is often done. It sounds like you're a few steps down in the road. That's something that's maybe done a little earlier on, or done with a smaller group of stakeholders, or it can be done in an open forum, but as was mentioned, it can be a little overwhelming trying to take that raw data and draw out specific recommendations from it.
I think maybe we use that as a template for a student survey review. Those might be just a kind of general, what do you think the strengths of your student are? That might be a way that we use that idea, but make it a digital survey. We've already sort of existing questions from that. Again,
Right.
So maybe let's shift the SWOT analysis to potentially the student. And then limit our hard copy stuff. I do like the posted idea. I think that. And then, so if we do the posted idea, we're sort of, I feel like the first ones that are updating this plan when so many things are more digital. Like the last time they did a survey, they literally mailed out a hard copy and every hard copy had to be entered. This time we've obviously done it digitally. So do you have a suggestion on ways we memorialize the information that comes in via post-it? Like, can we just digest that as a team, or is that something you think we should type up so that we have a digital record of it?
If you're doing a post-it sort of thing, then that is something that, maybe not so much raw data as much as, kind of, summarizing, if there are, each unique comment, but then if there's something that is functionally the same, you just, kind of plus one and have, have it that kind of record of things. You don't have to have every single, comment word for word. But finding those common trends. One thing going back with the board idea, and if you have sort of your existing survey results, having, kind of starting it by default with the, little stickers to say, yep, I agree, I agree. And then having the post-its as sort of a secondary thing. If someone's like, no, I didn't see what I was looking for, I really need to have a post-it, have that maybe be sort of that additional step. That way, when you're trying to enter the data, you can, basically start from your survey data and just kind of punch up the numbers to do your charts a little bit more.
Okay, yeah,
So there is a medium that AI has to digitize post-it notes called Miro. So these types of things, AI can help us with a lot of these tasks. So we don't have to manually something else.
Oh, we have to learn. Yeah.
The AI is,
Wow.
does the town have an AI policy? Like the town, if we use any AI, the town would have to know on any documents that AI would do.
like, you had not, I mean, it's just, we're just compiling the phone.
Yeah, but you gotta enter the post-it note and then having.
I'm not too concerned for like
They capture the images.
the post-its, like, I'll take them off the board and say, okay, these people talked about communication, these people talked about taxes. I'll just stack them up and say, okay, there's 5 about taxes, there's 6 about communication, like,
And if it's already.
it'll be easy to find it.
And if they've been repeating their repeats of the survey, then you don't really need it.
Yeah,
If you're looking for something that might be.
well, I like the idea, like, of just having a simple board that says, like, why do you participate? Why are you doing this? But however we want to phrase that, I think is a kind of like a good icebreaker. And it's optional, it's not like you have to do this, you have to put a post it, but they say, thank you so much for coming, like, we'd love to hear more.
We won't let them leave until we get the post-it.
We'd love to hear more about why you participate tonight, like, feel free to put a post-it on, like, just have the general post-it board. And then we'll have, some of the post-it boards of the survey results, and we'll just have, like, stickers where people can, emphasize whatever on the survey, saying, yes, I agree with that, agree with that. And then, like Thomas said, if we don't see something, if we didn't capture their issue on one of the other boards, the why are you here board is another opportunity for them to engage in that way if they want. And again, we talked about this last meeting. I like to have a variety of ways for people to participate, because some people are not comfortable getting up in front of the group. I mean, is that in the planning board, is that somebody who said it felt like they were here. And I think that's a really common experience where people, we all are very comfortable in format because we send it well. And not everybody is comfortable speaking in front of the board or speaking in front of a group of people. They may not even be comfortable talking one-on-one. So to be able to offer to talk on one-on-one, but for people who aren't comfortable engaging in that way, giving them the opportunity to feel comfortable figure out, I think we just want to make sure that we have a variety of options.
Yes, the people who meeting actually sent in from the survey. I would think that probably 90%.
I would think very likely.
So they would have some.
And there may be people who are like, oh shoot, I meant to fill out that survey.
Right.
And I didn't, I'm gonna go to, I'm gonna follow up at this meeting because I'm gonna have a chance. Or there may be people who aren't comfortable using technology and doing surveys. Again, it's just offering another way. So I think those are all good ideas. The question I have for you, Supervisor Vescola, is we're gonna need some supplies for this. We're gonna need some poster boards, and we need post-its, and we need stickers. Is that something that I go out and purchase and get reimbursed? Is that something that the town has.
Whatever's easiest for you, but I also could put on credit card. So you can get that.
Okay,
That works for me.
okay,
And we've got conflict with Mason, so if we can go with this one.
okay,
Whatever's easiest for you.
okay, let me, WB Nathan, that's your, that's it?
Yeah.
Let me take a look, at their website. Oh, the one at Ward.
We do, and Surefine. Sound those, you can just.
Okay, so I can just charge it to the same account, do I have to be as an authorized user for?
You have to know the account number, for Surefine, Wards, like I've got business cards that do. But you have their account, okay, account plans, you know, whatever.
Okay, let me, the easiest I think is to go to WB Nathan.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out their website, if I can't find what
And
we
then you
need,
just call and get my credit card.
and then also go back with you.
Yeah, I'm typically, either Monday, Thursday, 3 to 5, I'm always doing this. But the credit card stays here. I mean, as far as, so I don't leave it somewhere else.
So we can get the beer at the Surefine, is that the idea?
That's not something we can do.
Beer and pizza for everyone?
So we don't actually. We do, yeah. That's the way to do it.
So, yeah, I'll start there, and then
That's the cleanest, yeah.
that'll be the easiest, and I'll go back with you.
But just so it's all on one, it's easier as accounting wise, keep it on one.
Yeah, and then we can get.
I think there is. We do have supplies back here. And then post notes on the side.
That's okay, I'm gonna be kind of hard to do about one.
Oh.
But thank you.
I see.
Okay, I think are we all set with comments? Any other last questions, comments about public engagement?
So our next meeting is May.
Our next meeting will be May, and I anticipate it is going to be a long one. We want to put a copy, because we're gonna need to review hardline versions of them. We are going to review presentation. And then we'll have to finalize what we want printed. Thomas, if we need something printed larger than ledger size, if I recall, we have, items on our contract with you for printing services in addition to our other contract items, is that correct?
Right. I believe there was, and we have a large print, you were mentioning doing the map. We can easily do things like that for you, posters. Yep.
That'll be good to know when we're looking at.
Yep.
The website. Okay, so we'll plan to meet in May. I don't think we need comments for our meeting because we work pretty well squared away and know how to communicate with you, and follow-up questions. So I greatly appreciate you coming tonight and sharing your ideas.
Definitely.
I'm sure there will be a lot of emails back and forth over the next few weeks as we move ahead with planning.
All right. Well, great. I will look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Thomas. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.